Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're popping the hood on a true retail titan. Gap didn't just sell clothes, right? For decades, they literally defined a generation of casual wear across the globe. If you walk through any mall in the 90s or early 2000s, you know their presence was just absolute. But here's the wild part. What happens when the very machinery that built an empire starts to slowly dismantle it? Today, we're dissecting Gap's e-commerce lag to uncover exactly why flawless retail execution matters more right now than at any point in business history. We're going to unpack how a beloved brand found itself suffocating under its own outdated tech.
So why isn't a household name enough anymore? Really think about that for a second. Gap is undeniably iconic, but on the modern retail battlefield, brand recognition is just the starting line. It absolutely does not guarantee you across the finish line. We're witnessing this incredible high-stakes tension play out in real time. A historical giant fighting desperately for relevance, in an era where being famous simply doesn't shield you from poor execution. Loyalty used to carry brands through tough quarters. Today, we all demand friction-free experiences. If your back-end operations can't deliver on the promise of your famous logo, trust me, the market is going to leave you behind without a second thought.
And the contrast here, it couldn't be starker. On one side, you have Gap's legacy physical retail model. We're talking about an infrastructure built on massive brick-and-mortar footprints, incredibly long lead seasonal planning, and super traditional supply chains that just assume customers are going to walk into a physical store. But then, on the exact opposite side, you have modern e-commerce titans. Think Amazon, think Shein, operating with this breathtaking, almost ruthless speed. Their DNA is entirely digital. They don't think in terms of seasons, they're thinking in terms of days, sometimes even hours. It's a classic Goliath versus new Goliaths dynamic, and it really reveals the massive uphill battle legacy retailers face when operational agility becomes the only currency shoppers actually care about.
Chapter 1. The Mall Giant's Dilemma, a Physical Liability. Let's get into it.
So, the recurring villain in this whole business autopsy is something called technical debt. I know it sounds like dry IT jargon, but it's actually the silent killer of legacy businesses. Basically, technical debt is the overwhelming, compounding cost of relying on outdated, patched-together legacy systems instead of just adopting agile, modern digital solutions. Imagine trying to run a high-speed, modern 3D video game on a 20-year-old dial-up desktop computer. It's going to be a nightmare, right? Every clunky workaround, every system crash, every agonizing delay, that is the debt coming due. For Gap, that massive technical debt basically paralyzed their ability to move at the speed of today's online consumers. It turned their operations into a super slow-moving target.
You see, Gap's monumental past success was entirely built on physical retail. But that deep, prolonged reliance, it ultimately bred this structural complacency. Their massive back-end systems were fundamentally designed to do one primary thing, and that was shipping bulk orders to stock mall shelves. They were never architected to fulfill dynamic, individual mobile orders clicking in from thousands of different zip codes all at the exact same time. And because they just couldn't untangle this messy web of old infrastructure, their digital lag became insurmountable during the most critical growth years for e-commerce. It's wild. Their profound historical success literally built the iron cage that held them back from achieving true e-commerce agility.
Chapter 2. The Multi-Brand Mess. Logistical Friction.
Now, the external market wasn't Gap's only problem. They were actually fighting a massive, complex operational war on the inside, too. When we talk about Gap Inc., we really aren't talking about one cohesive brand. We're looking at a highly fragmented family: Gap, Old Navy, and Banana Republic. And historically, these sister brands operated almost like entirely separate competing companies. They had completely isolated operations, entirely disconnected supply chains, and just massive logistical walls built up between them. So instead of leveraging their combined massive scale, they were operating as siloed entities just clashing under one single corporate roof.
And those fragmented logistics completely ruined any chance of a seamless, unified digital shopping experience. Imagine being a customer trying to buy a pair of jeans from Gap and a sweater from Banana Republic in the exact same online order. Because the back-end logistical systems literally could not communicate with each other to consolidate that single box efficiently, the whole execution just collapsed. Shipping turned into a nightmare of multiple packages, delay tracking, and super frustrated buyers. These internal walls made a massive, unified e-commerce push practically impossible. They were structurally bogging themselves down before a product even left the warehouse.
Chapter 3. Inventory blind spots. The data deficit.
Okay, so a lack of real-time data leaves garments sitting unseen and totally untracked in the supply chain. Picture the journey of a single garment. Let's say a medium blue sweater. It enters this vast, aging legacy system from a manufacturer. But because there's no modern real-time data tracking its exact coordinates at every step, it effectively vanishes.
just poof, into a black hole of regional warehouses, disorganized backrooms, and transit trucks. It is physically sitting inside the company's ecosystem, but digitally, it's completely invisible to the online storefront. And in modern retail, if you can't see your inventory on a screen, you absolutely cannot sell it to a customer.
So what's the direct effect of that inventory blindness? Massive, devastating markdowns. When those lost blue sweaters finally surface in the tracking system weeks or even months later, well, the season is already passed, the weather's changed, the customer has completely moved on to new trends, so the only way to clear that untracked, stale inventory out of the physical warehouses is to drastically slash the price. We're talking sometimes marking it down by 70 or 80%. This isn't just a minor operational hiccup, this is a catastrophic financial hemorrhage that literally drains the lifeblood out of a retail business.
The reality of this failure is just incredibly stark. As our source material points out, a lack of real-time data led to massive markdowns and lost margins. I think that perfectly encapsulates how poor execution literally eats away at the bottom line. It transforms guaranteed potential profits into inevitable, heavy losses, all because the digital tracking infrastructure just couldn't keep pace with the physical goods moving through the world. You know, you can have the best marketing in the world, you can have the most recognizable logo, but if your data deficit forces you to sell your products at a huge loss, the math simply will not sustain you.
Chapter 4. The Pivot. Embracing Digital First. So how does a massive legacy brand actually turn this incredibly heavy ship around? Well, step 1 is aggressively modernizing the supply chain, literally tearing down those massive logistical walls between the sister brands to allow true cross-pollination and consolidated shipping. Step 2 is paying off that heavy legacy technical debt. You got to rip out the old, patch together systems and install agile, unified, cloud-based ones. And step 3, which is honestly often the most culturally painful and difficult step for a historic brand to achieve, is truly embracing a digital-first mindset. This is where the e-commerce platform becomes the primary driving engine of the entire company, not just a digital brochure for the mall store.
This creates a really clear survival roadmap. Integrating cross-brand logistics fixes the multi-brand mess, right? It allows customers to finally shop the entire corporate ecosystem seamlessly. Prioritizing real-time inventory tracking eliminates those blind spots, preserving those precious margins, and stopping that devastating cycle of massive markdowns. And executing a complete, ground-up digital transformation ensures you aren't held hostage by the way things were done 30 years ago. These aren't just arbitrary corporate goals for Gap. These are the essential, non-negotiable survival mandates for literally any traditional retailer attempting to catch up to modern, hyper-fast consumer demands.
Which brings us to our final question. What does Gap's struggle actually teach us about the broader future of traditional retail? Well, in a world entirely dominated by the rapid, data-driven execution of modern e-commerce giants, legacy brands have a singular, unavoidable choice: completely rewire your digital infrastructure from the ground up or face permanent obsolescence. Execution isn't just a corporate buzzword anymore. It is the literal difference between thriving in a new era and slowly disappearing from the culture entirely. I hope this gave you a powerful new lens to view the massive brands you walk past every day. Keep questioning the invisible systems running behind those storefronts. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.